Why fantasy football is the key to success in real estate. Welcome everybody. We are now approaching fantasy football season, you name it. We're getting into August, now September, and the hype is real. So those of you guys that are football fans like me, I love this time of year. I love watching sports. I love watching football and being a part of a lot of fantasy football and other activities. Today we're going to talk about how fantasy football is the key to success in real estate. Those of you guys that watch fantasy football or are a part of it, this video is for you. So if you've never heard of fantasy football before in your entire life, you've never done it, you've never played it, then just tune out. You can turn it off right now. I am talking directly to the people that are involved with this sport and this activity because I think there's some valuable lessons to learn attached to what we do and what we love. Fantasy football, if you treated your real estate business like you treat fantasy football, you would make millions of dollars every single year. So I'm gonna give you 5 examples of what we do in fantasy that could work so much better in the real estate market. Number 1, we spend so much time researching players, teams, organizations, every single little thing. Most of you guys know what these players eat an hour before their game day, but yet, if we translate to that real estate market, you have no idea who your clients' kids are. You don't know how many they have, what their names are. You don't even half the time know what your clients do for a living. This is a really good example of we spend all this time dedicated to finite craft in fantasy football, and we do this because we know that it would make our teams better. We'll know who we need to draft and do all that research so that we're more prepared. But yet our income stream, our business, our main provider, we don't do any of the research for that. Alongside our clients, do you do research on the market? What's the supply? What's the demand? What's happening outside affecting our real estate market? Just the same as in football when we do research, what's the weather gonna be in that stadium? Is it a covered stadium? We do all of that stuff, right? And yet when we look at our real estate market, we don't track or manage any of that stuff by doing research on our clients and evaluating that process. That's number 1, research. Research the marketplace. Now, number 2, this is one of my favorites, and it's mock drafts. Everybody that's in fantasy football, we love mock drafts. A lot of people may end up spending hours on them, countless different mock drafts. Now, a mock draft, those of you guys that know, it's going over all the different scenarios that you could potentially run into on draft day, which is only a couple hours, but it's all the couple hours that matter because you set your entire lineup, you set the expectations for your entire year. This is the same as in real estate. What if instead of 100 mock drafts, you did 100 role plays in your scripting, 100 buyer consultation practice role plays, 100 listing consultation role plays, where you went over all the different scenarios that could happen in a consultation or on the phone. If you think of how much better you get by doing mock drafts in fantasy, well, what if that correlated to your real estate business and you spent that much time practicing and repeating things that may or may not happen so that you are prepared when it does on draft day, so you're prepared when it happens with your clients, either on the phone or in person. This is absolutely huge. Number 3, we all set our showing lineups. We always set up our lineups days, sometimes almost a week ahead of actual game day. Game days are on Sundays, and we're setting up all our schedule to say, hey, these guys play the afternoon games, these guys play the morning games. Who do I think is gonna fit best in this? And you're tweaking your lineup, making sure everything looks good so that you have the best chance of winning. And yet, in our real estate business, we don't even set up showings sometimes until Saturday morning, and we're scrambling to find somebody to go show houses to, or we want to do an open house, but we wait till the last second to prep and set it all up. Guys, set up your showing calendar, set up your work calendar like we set up our lineups in fantasy football. Be prepared, go through that process at the highest level. Number 4, this is the waiver wire. If you guys have seen in fantasy football, we attack the waiver wire all the time. You guys are looking to see who is the best fit for your team, which ones are duds and which ones are great, right? You don't want to waste your time going after a player that's probably not going to affect your team. Well, what about we do the same thing in real estate? Look at your client list. Look at all the people you're working with. Try and figure out which ones are waste of time, that are never gonna buy or stringing you along, that are really spending a lot of your mental space on, and then look at the ones that are active, ready, and the closest to pulling the trigger. This relates back to that top 10 hot list that I've talked about so many times of isolate the clients that you know you can put in contract today, tomorrow, this week, and make them your priority. So the same thing as like you do with the waiver wire, make a waiver wire for your lead gen list, for your leads, your clients. Know who you need to target to have the most success in your business. And then lastly, which I think is probably the most important, and yet we fail to do it consistently, and it is tracking your scores, tracking the competition. Every week on fantasy football, you're looking at your phone, you're scrolling through how you're doing, how the competition's doing, and what your team's looking like. Are you going to win today? And yet, we don't even half the time know how much volume we've done, how many calls we've made, how many texts we've made, what our emails look like, what our clients are doing, their timelines. We don't even track our own business. It is so key to track your business so that you can manage your business, become better, learn efficiencies, and really make your business what it should be. So the key to today's story, obviously, for those of you guys that love fantasy football, is start thinking about the things you spend time on and relate it back to your business. Fantasy football is an awesome example, but at the end of the day, what you really need to focus on is what are things that I could be doing to impact my business on a daily basis. Compare it to the other things in your life that you do all the time and that you work 100% of your time on. Try and translate that back to real estate business. This is your career. Make that your focus and change your business. We'll see you guys next time.